All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board, and members of the public. Steve Loupe, Public Works Administrator. So we'll be giving updates pretty much every meeting. Sometimes it'll be presentations, and sometimes it'll be just a kind of a verbal list. And the latter is what we're going to do this morning. So just for folks that live and travel around the San Juan Bautista area, Prescott Road is scheduled to be closed to public traffic as of today. Um, Property owners and emergency responders can still have access to Prescott Road, which is a very small road in San Juan Bautista, um, near some of our ag businesses. Um, but the road's small and narrow, and so with all the construction equipment, it's just actually safer to close it down. It'll only be closed down till the 20th of September max. And we're going to be reconstructing parts of the road as part of a planned project that I talked about the previous meeting. There's actually a few roads in that corridor that are going to be built over the next few weeks, and Prescott Road is leading the charge over there. So you have to take a little detour around Prescott Road if you're in that area. Next thing that's also actually finishing this week, we've been installing some speed bumps on Carr Avenue in Aromas. Some extra parts and pieces arrived last week, so we're going to be finishing that project this week. Let's see, on that same note, I met with a guardrail contractor on August 29th out on Fairview Road in Los Vibros. They took a lot of measurements and sent those measurements over to their estimating team, and they're supposed to be providing us a construction estimate, cost estimate, ASAP. I received an email on September 3rd that says they're working on the estimate and they'll provide it ASAP. I don't have a timeline of when that will get installed, but it's moving forward. And I told them it's an urgent emergency type of project, and they understand that. So making progress over there. We had a washout over on New Idri Road in South County quite a while ago with some previous storms, and we're finally completing that repair because we had to get some extra environmental permits. That's actually being completed this week as well. A lot going on this week. Let's see. San Juan Hollister Frontage Road. So if you've driven San Juan Hollister Frontage Road or 156B lately in the morning, there seems to be some folks that are cutting through the frontage road, which is where the auto yard is and Hollister landscape is. And so we tried to come up with some strategies to stop people from cutting through, because what's going on is they're cutting through the backup and going along the frontage road and trying to sneak and get through the temp light and save themselves, I don't know, a few minutes, maybe a few seconds. It's frustrating. But long story short, because one of the businesses there can't quite have their large flatbed trucks make the turns with only one exit open, we were not able to close those two accesses, either one. We were working with Caltrans to close one access or the other, but because of the way the trucks access through the site, they can't really make a U-turn and come back in either way. So we're going to be working with CHP to try to get some enforcement there at that corner. And basically, this just for folks that are trying to cut through, if you have a right, if you come along the frontage road over by the treatment ponds and you want to go right towards 156, you are not allowed to turn right on a red light. And so that's what CHP will be enforcing. So I have to reach out to them and see if we can get some CHP vehicles posted there in the mornings. It's just for a couple hours. I checked in as of 6 o'clock this morning. There was not much of a backup, but there's a little backup. So that's San Juan Hollister Frontage Road status. Shore Road bids. Good news with Shore Road. We received bids yesterday. They're actually slightly less than the estimated budget. So we'll be able to award that project on the 24th if the board decides to award it to the lowest bidder. And we might have a couple $100,000 left over. Don't quote me on that, but at the end of the day, at least the bids came in lower than the estimate and our construction budget for the year for Shore Road. So that's very good news. Fairview Road Fallon and Fairview Road Comstock signal designs were received. over the past few weeks. And good news, bad news. Good news is the designs look good. Bad news is we're going to have to acquire right away from some of the residents over there, which we thought we'd probably have to do. It's not a big surprise. So we'll be meeting with our design team on site. I think it's next week to just look at the right of way and what we need and what we don't. Looks like we're going to need right of way from 2 property owners at each intersection. The Comstock right of way is just a couple small pieces. Fallon, it's a little bit bigger pieces, but essentially we're shifting at Fallon, we're shifting the whole intersection to the north by 60 to 80 feet. Yeah, to the northwest, kind of away from the orchard, and that'll provide better sight distance and it'll be signal. So it'll be a lot safer over there. So making some progress. The next step, sometime soon, we're gonna have to reach out to some property owners and ask them to purchase some property. All the driveway accesses will remain. That was a question that came up with the public, and nobody's losing driveway access. So that's the status with those 2 projects. An ongoing project that we thought would be paved by now is actually over off of Fairview near John Smith Road. It's in city right away and county right away, and the city is currently working with the contractor to do a couple extra things there. So the paving hasn't been able to be completed. I talked to the contractor developer this morning. He thinks they'll be out paving in a couple weeks, hopefully. So if you're in that quadrant, it's about a half mile of Fairview. Try not to drive too fast. And let's see, a couple other projects. Oh, we met, so Union Road is being designed. We met with San Bernardino County Water District. They're working with San Juan Bautista to take a water main from San Juan Bautista down the existing 156 shoulder and then up Union Road for roughly a mile up Union Road. So we're coordinating with that design team because we're going to be, we're working on a design for Union and we want them to, install their pipe under Union where we're rebuilding the road, hopefully at the same time when we have the road, torn up next spring. So they're working on trying to get funding for that, for their water line project. I don't know where they don't know when their funding is going to come through, but the goal is to have the pipeline installed into the road while we're tearing up the road. So that's the goal. So we had some coordination in a meeting with them this week, and there'll be some ongoing coordination with that. And a road related project, but it's road / parking lot. So we received the plans and I reviewed them for Vet's parking lot. We're going to be redoing the surface and lighting in the parking lot. And part of that project is we're going to be installing a new driveway and widening the existing driveway at Vet's Park. So Vet's Park commissioners ad hoc know about that. And the project's moving forward as it's supposed to. So we're going to be submitting the plans for the sidewalk driveway improvements to the city within a week so that we can get approval and hopefully start bidding that project sometime soon. So I shall pause there for questions, but that's my update for this morning.
Thank you, Steve. And this is under a department head announcement. Are there any questions for Steve? So there's no public comment on this item. I'll start with Supervisor Zenger because it's not my eye perfect.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, quick questions. The dip on Lone Tree at near Pan Temple that becomes a pool every winter. There any plan of attack on that?
Yeah, so our road superintendent and I have talked quite a bit about that. The goal is we're going to bring a lot of roadway shavings, shaved off asphalt essentially, build it up approximately 2 feet, do a little conform on one of the driveways and put some hot mix asphalt on top of it, and then grade one of the shoulders. The problem with that is it's kind of a historical low point that has gotten worse over the years because of some grading across the street. So we're going to grade the south ditch to try to release south, and then eventually it should go north, or actually I'm incorrect, it'll release west and then drain north. It will still pond a little bit, I think, but we actually tried to we had a project to install a pipe there, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but the pipe was in direct conflict with a large water line that maybe it wasn't installed exactly where we thought it was. So yes, there's a plan, and so we plan to do that before the winter time. To answer your
Okay.
question.
Awesome. It's great
Yep.
to hear.
Yep.
The only other question was, I assume we're still waiting till the end of this month, I guess, to see if we were gonna have those, some money left over that you suggested for Lover's Lane and Lone Tree.
Yeah, I think there is some Measure G funds. With the estimates I've seen at Fairview Fallon, we might have to use that for the Fairview Fallon signal. But I do think there's going to be some Measure G money left over, say roughly $1 million tentatively. But the estimate for Fairview Fallon is 3.5 million, which is a little bit higher than we thought it was going to be. We can reduce that cost, but I think we need to make some progress with the right of way at Fairview Fallon, see how much that's going to cost, and then see where we have if there's any Measure G funds left.
Okay. And with the Fairview Fallon, I know there was a discussion before whether or not we were gonna move it or not, and I guess you decided to in fact move it a little bit. Is there a reason that versus, I don't know if it's cheaper the other way or not?
Yeah. So and what we've done is kind of a hybrid. There's thoughts to keep it exactly where it is, or to move it quite a bit further and kind of use our existing. We have an existing road that makes a reverse curve on the east side. So long story short, it's not shifting as far as it was going to. It's shifting, like I said, maybe 80-ish feet to the north, and it will require wide away, but it'll make the angle almost to 90 when you're there, and it'll provide a lot better sight distance without keeping it in the exact same spot with the house there and some issues. So we're shifting a little bit, not as much as we were going to, and we can't quite keep it in the same spot. So it's a little bit of a hybrid.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Supervisor Gonzalez. I just had a quick question. Going back to the frontage road with the Union Road 156 realignment, is there anything that we can do? I know we've asked a lot of the commuters to be patient with us until that realignment is taken care of, but maybe to the degree of law enforcement, traffic enforcement at that intersection, maybe having an officer sitting there, and I know that's probably not the best use of time, but we just have so many accidents on the road because of people's, hurry to get to and from, that a lot of things are happening unnecessarily. But maybe if we had a little bit of law enforcement out there in terms of enforcement for those that are cutting and creating unsafe conditions for everybody else.
Yeah, real good suggestion. I did reach out to the CHP commander for the area. I don't know, it was probably a week or two ago when we first started discussing this. And like you said, I think he'll be able to put some staff there, but they typically get drawn to other
More important
situations. However, he did say that he was going to work with us and try to get some staff there. So I have to follow up with him and try to do that. So I think that's the best temporary solution.
I was gonna ask.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you bet.
Supervisor Krasnicki.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll just piggyback on that one first. So I know we've been trying to find solutions. There's no way to. So we talked about initially. We talked about the actual intersection point, cutting that off, and then there was kind of went with this other option of cutting off the entrance point close to the junkyard. I'll just call it. And so there's no way of going back to the cutting off of the intersection point, the actual exit of the frontage road that they're using. So if the issue is not enough room, they need that. There seems to be a wider turn ability at the entrance. We couldn't just cut off the exit and just kind of make them go back to the other way.
So I've had multiple conversations with the manager of the wrecking yard, auto yard, and basically their vehicles, the way they come in off of 156B, they kind of just do a quick back in and then they go straight out. He says they can't make the turn up near the treatment plant, and there's no way to make a U-turn if they were going to come off. Basically, we looked at either exit, but the trucks can't make those turns.
Can't make the U-turn at the entrance.
Right, at either side, unfortunately. Yeah, we've talked multiple times, but yeah.
All right, I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. So back to the law enforcement thing. Can we ask the sheriff to just? I think it would be more convenient here for the sheriff to just, if the sheriff's, and I can certainly talk to the sheriff as well, but the CHP is just not realistic. They might come over once or twice, but they're not going to come way over here and sit their cars there on this side of their region. just wonder if, you know, since it's such a brief period of time, if we could ask the sheriff to do special request to just, maybe it's 30 minutes a day or whatever, just to send that message. They could obviously go off and respond if something happens, but I just don't see why we couldn't at least ask the sheriff to park somebody there and make that point.
Yeah, I'll absolutely reach out to Sheriff Taylor. It's CHB jurisdiction. However, they overlap, just like you said, they overlap jurisdictions. So I'll reach out to Sheriff Taylor and see if he can put some staff there.
I appreciate it, and I know there's tight staff, and we're asking a lot, but it's just, you know, I was hearing about these delays that were pretty excessive. I know you went at 6 in the morning, but maybe it's worse at 7 or 7:30.
Or earlier, perhaps. Yeah.
Right. The other suggestion would be maybe we could put signs at the entrance point. I know that thrown together or whatever. Businesses and residents only, something along those lines, so that at least it sends the message that we're, you know, that it's not allowed. I know we talked about these signs in Aromas, and we've heard that they actually do make an impact, a local traffic only sort of thing. But I would suggest like businesses and residents only, please abide, you know, maybe something about, you know, we'll enforce the law or something. I don't know how much you can put on a sign or two, but anything we can do there, I would appreciate it. And I know we're asking a lot of the sheriff as well, so appreciate it there. The car avenue speed bumps, is there anything to be on the lookout for, since I tend to be the one that responds to those? I know we've had a bumpy road, no pun intended, maybe it was intended, on car, and just the blowback that we've gotten in this process that we've gone through. Is there anything that people are still going to be potentially not happy about that I should just be able to respond to, or anything kind of talking points I can have to respond to them?
Well, actually, we've installed 2/3, and so far we've actually received a lot of compliments. And actually, people are asking for more, and we have 4 more to install. So I'm not sure there's going to be too much blowback so far in that regard.
All right. If there is, I'll just contact you.
Okay.
And then Union Road, is there a potential to save some money if we partner along the lines of the San Juan Bautista wastewater line or water line?
There is. We've talked about, you know, trenches and sections and pavement and things, but just preliminary. But yes, hopefully, if we partner with San Juan in the district and they have some funding available, then hopefully they'll contribute some funding to the overall project.
Then hopefully that would maybe free up some money for some other. I know we talked about some other areas of the county. I would hope that money stays within the road program that we've allocated it for. And I know we're going to have probably some overruns on some other projects. And then overall, are there any projects that have kind of fallen off the schedule at all in the last 2 weeks? I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but anything that we should be aware of that?
No, I guess you could. We have a month that Sealy's going to start in October. We thought it was either late September or October, but it'll be October for Sealy. I don't know if that's a delay, but just more clarity. But no, that's about it. Everything else from 2 weeks ago is pretty much the same.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're coordinating any lane closures at Union Bridge with any of the work that's going to be done on Union. Because with the detour and then adding any work on Union and adding Union Bridge with closures, it's a cluster. Also, I'm going to be talking with COG. We were told by Caltrans that they were going to be putting a cover over the stop sign at Union Road coming into town onto 4th Street, where they're stopping and there's really nothing to stop for. It was supposed to be to keep traffic flowing at that turn so that they just go through. So I will be following up with that, but if you want to follow up on your end, you can tag team on that.
Okay.
Those are my only 2 items.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thanks.